Hello and welcome back to the Dayluna Human Design Podcast with your host, Dana and Shayna. This is a solo duo episode all about small business tips and even delving a little bit into the BG5 Penta, which we are so lit up by, inspired by, excited by, because we have some really big news and we're excited to share it with you finally that we have a brand new advanced human design reader training that is all about the mechanics of relationship and bonding. The online version is here. We are opening the doors soon. So we're just feeling so excited to delve into this juicy topic and to be able to share some insights with you all today.
Yes. So if you wanted to come to our in-person training in Palm Springs, but you weren't able to, and you were really called to this content, or if you are just like thirsty for learning about relationships and all of the mechanics of how we connect with one another and our family dynamics and the hurdles or roadblocks that we can really navigate with intention to bring more harmony and abundance and expansion and love into our relationships, this is the training for you. This is like the most in-depth and advanced information that we have shared about relationships. And we really get into every single facet of two auras or three or five or 10 coming together and how that changes things and what the dynamics are at play and maybe why we have certain dynamics within our partnerships or within our families and how we can navigate them with consciousness, with love and understanding. And it ultimately creates more freedom. It creates more harmony. It creates more love. And as we're moving closer to the new paradigm, you've probably heard that this new paradigm is all about being an individual, being your own authority. And it's so evident to us that if we're going to rise into the highest expression of what that can look like, we have to bring the highest expression of community and bonding and what we've really gotten out of this old paradigm cross of planning into the new paradigm. So focusing on family dynamics and interpersonal relationships and your partnerships in life, your community, focusing on having healthy relationships is the foundation for moving forward in this new paradigm where you can really thrive as an individual while still being in communion with other people in a way that serves them as an individual. So it's so important and it's so empowering. That's why we're so passionate about teaching about relationships and the mechanics behind it, because I think that when a lot of other systems or even therapists or other programs talk about relationships, it's coming from a very mental place or emotional place where we have judgments or where we have conditioning or where society is telling us that this is right and wrong. We have a lot of labels, and human design mechanics kind of takes all of that out of it and lets you just literally focus on what are the mechanics behind it. You can see it very objectively, and it gives you this roadmap of how to move forward when you're having some issues or resistance, or you're just wanting that closer connection in your life. So this training has been a long time coming, and we're so excited to offer it online. It is advanced. So if you have studied human design a bit, this is perfect for you. If you're brand new to human design, we would recommend going to learn more about some of the basics in human design, whether that's through this podcast or through our book, Your Human Design, or through our online training, our first human design reader training. But either way, this is an advanced training, and you will get a certificate at the end that's really for you to celebrate how much you've learned, because we packed as much content as we possibly could because we wanted to cover all of the bases. Like everything that we were building out and teaching in this course, it's like, well, we can't talk about that if we don't mention this. And if we mention this, it really would be doing a disservice if we don't dive into this as well. So we cover every single angle that we could possibly cover in this training. So it is very in-depth, it is advanced, and it is opening its doors for you to jump into on April 2nd. So April 2nd is when the doors open. The doors will then close on April 12th, and then we will get started on April 20th. And the reason why we have this layout is because with this training, you get your own personal workbook, companion guide for this training that has your personal human design chart, but also your significant other's human design chart. It then has your composite chart, how your charts come together and the aura that you make there. And then we also include your family Penta chart. So that has whoever's living in your household. You can include whoever you want, whether that's like your close friend group, or if you have children, amazing. If you don't, you can even include like your family of origin if you wanted to look at those dynamics. Or if it doesn't apply to you, then you can just look at the examples that we give you. But either way, your workbook is personalized and it is customized. So when you sign up and you join the program between April 2nd and April 12th, then we move into creating your custom workbook for you. That's going to take a little bit of time. And that's why we'll get started all together on April 20th once you have your guide with you. So you can reference your chart. You can look at your composite chart dynamics with your significant other and your family dynamics within your Penta. So we're going as deep as we can because that's how it's the most impactful. And if it's not personalized, then it's kind of missing the mark, because everything in human design is only useful if you're able to see yourself within it, and if you're able to look at your own dynamics and apply the teachings that we're going through. And that ultimately makes you a better guide when you're helping your clients or your customers, or however you're wanting to use this out in more of a professional setting. So we're really excited for you to dive in. Look at the link below where you can check out all of the different offerings within this training, and join us April 2nd and dive in fully on April 20th. We cannot wait to get started because the world really desperately needs guides in this realm. The closer that we get to 2027, but beyond, like, this is what people are needing the most right now. And we see it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like we see it in all of the relationships that are struggling, or that, women feel like they've outgrown their partners, or, all of the shifts that are happening within the patriarchy and the matriarchy. It's all happening for a reason, because these are the things that need to shift, and we need guides here.
Yeah, we're seeing so many people in our communities saying, okay, I've gone on my own journey in my human design. I've learned a lot about my chart. I'm living my strategy and authority, but my partnership is really holding me back, and it's creating this not self in my life, and I'm not sure what to do from here. And those people are needing support with their composite chart, with really understanding their partnerships. We're also seeing a lot of women who are mothers, and they're struggling to integrate this into their family in a way that is going to be supportive and uplifted. Like, they just feel like they're carrying all the weight and they're not quite getting all the answers. So diving into their Penta and looking at their family unit, like, this can be so supportive for these type of group readings or family readings. And then we're also seeing a lot of people who are struggling in their workplace. They've gone on their own personal journey of evolving, following their strategy and authority, but they're just feeling like their team is kind of like falling apart, or they're not really sure how to integrate that. So this training covers all of those realms. We talk about romantic partnerships, and honestly, we get really sassy and juicy, I want to say, because we don't just go into the composite charts and the companion and energy. We also dive into sexuality and compatibility. So there is kind of like a strong, spicy flavor in part of this advanced training. And Shayna and I, when we were teaching this content, like, we got real. So be prepared for be prepared for some juicy sexual content in this course. Advanced, it's so fascinating. And then sort of in the second half, after we go into family dynamics in this training, then we get into what we're going to talk about today, like with the BG5 Penta and working with small business teams. And so that part is really exciting because it really can help you with your small team or the people that you're working with unlock the success codes in their group dynamic. And I feel like this is also something people are really needing. And before we dive in, I did want to say that if you did take our human design reader training, our first one, you do get 15% off of this new advanced training. So you can email us for that code, or just check your emails to see that 15% off code. We'll make sure that you all get it. And moving into the kind of business side, this is what we wanted to talk about today, because this is a part of this training that we think is really applicable and needed for a lot of us that are listening here. You know, the world is changing really quickly. Things can feel kind of there's like this instability within the crumbling of the old paradigm, and being anchored in these tips around your small business, around showing up in alignment in this way, I feel like it just feels so empowering, like this steady grounding force in your life that you're contributing to and cultivating. And it makes it easier to be able to navigate all of the changes that are happening when you're rooted and grounded in this type of alignment. You're setting yourself up for this type of success when you are really thinking about your small business and the tips that we're going to talk about today and the tips that we're going to talk about with the BG5 Penta. So if you are new to the word Penta, let's say you've never heard this before, it's a new concept to you. The Penta is a really fascinating advanced layer of human design. It's this trans-auric form that takes over the auras of 3 to 5 people most often. So once you are sitting in a physical space with 3 people, you no longer have just your own personal individual aura or your own human design chart. Suddenly you have this brand new chart that takes over, a penta chart, right? And it's pulling from the individuals in that space's energy, but it's also filtering things out. So all of us, just on an energetic mechanic level, once we are sitting at a table with there's 3 people there, your energy is suddenly transformed. You are going to feel like a different person. Different parts of you are going to be recognized, and different parts of you are going to feel unrecognized and invisible once you're in that group space. This is a whole fascinating realm that goes so deep, and we study it in this advanced training from different angles. But when we're talking about a small business or a small team of people that are working together, understanding this penta gives you incredible insight around clicking things into gear so that you'll just operate in this form of success. Like if there are certain things missing in your group dynamic, you will always struggle to have financial viability in your small business. Like it's really important to understand these mechanics so that you can work with them, so that you can change the energetic dynamics. It'll also tell you about who is naturally meant to lead or manage, who is meant to be managed. If people are in these wrong roles, there will always be this unconscious tension. And even if all of those individuals are on their own individual journey of following their strategy and authority, once they're working together in a small group, if they're not aware of these mechanics, then you can always come up against friction and a lack of success. And you're like, what are we doing wrong? So you can really see that there's so much to contribute to, giving group readings and team readings in this space. So we're actually going to be teaching a free workshop on the Penta when we're looking at small business and teams, which that's called the BG5 Penta. You can also look at the Penta for families, but we're going to be doing a workshop tomorrow. As this is airing, it's going to be on April 1st at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be diving into and kind of showing you how a small team or small business Penta works. And we're really excited to be able to share this content with you.
Yes, because it's so helpful to have visuals when we're talking about such advanced information to see where it falls in the chart and to look at your own chart or your family members' charts to really see how this information applies. But this is why you see family dynamics change when a child is introduced. Like when a couple has a child, now they're a penta, and maybe then they have another child and now they're a penta of 4 people, and the dynamics change completely then as well. So this information is freaking insane because we all feel it, and you can see it so clearly when you're looking at just the collective in general and how family dynamics are and how things do so obviously change. But when you dive into the specifics of your own penta within your life, or maybe your childhood, your family dynamics growing up, it's so liberating because you start to realize that some of the challenges that you faced as a family growing up weren't personal. Like they were literally just the mechanics of it. Also, moving forward as you're navigating within a business, right? Like if you're helping a team or a business, you're able to really see like, oh, this isn't because you're a bad whatever business owner, or this isn't because you're a bad employee or you're not as good at A, B, C, and D. It's because these are the dynamics of this very specific penta, and these are the gaps or the roadblocks that you're facing, and here's how we can navigate through them.
Yeah. And so getting into our Dayluna BG5 Penta, our small business Penta, we have like 4 main people on our team that we include in our Penta. Shayna and I, and then Jacqueline and Haley, shout out to our amazing team. And so when we create our Dayluna Penta, we're actually like a pretty solid, functional, complete Penta, which has been amazing. And me and Shayna on our own, we create these dynamics that are really, really, really important in a Penta. And it's so interesting. Like we didn't really know that when we first met each other and decided to start going into Dayluna. Like we never really examined our Penta to be like, do we have everything that we need to be a viable business? But luckily in my chart, in her chart, in the way that our energies come together in these mechanics, we do have a lot of the things that we're needing to really be viable. And then we've been able to just use our Penta to look and see, okay, what are the hangups that we have? And if we're hiring new people or people are leaving our team, then, these are things that we can consider. So it's really interesting in our Penta, the Penta basically is only interested in 6 of the channels in your chart or 12 of the gates. And if you go to the free workshop tomorrow, this will make way more sense because I feel like it's really helpful to see, like you're saying, like the visuals of where it's coming from, because the Penta is literally a transauric form. Like some people think of it as like a virus. It has its own structure and it pulls from the designs of other people. But basically in our Dayluna Penta, I'm the only person with gate 8. And this is one of the gates in the Penta that is really important and necessary.
And so I do just want to say really fast, like because the Penta is only focused on 6 channels or 12 gates, right? A channel's made out of 2 gates. So there's 12 gates and that it cares about. It's because it's kind of decided that there's too many differences in us as individuals to make a family and group cohesive. So it's really ignoring all of that and just focusing on those 6 channels. So the Penta in general simplifies us as a group. Like it homogenizes the group and to make us more cohesive or make us work together
easier together, because we're letting go of like extraneous parts of us that the Penta thinks won't be able to be harmonious.
Yes, which is why you feel sometimes when you go into a group of 3 or more people, 3 to 5 people, part of you feels like invisible or feels less important. It's why when you're solo and on your own, you feel fully individualized and your full self. And then you go into partnership with, one other person and you feel like that, wow, they get to really see all of me and all of my gifts. And I feel so seen and held by them. But then you get into a group, maybe you're like going for drinks with friends and you like all of that other stuff kind of fades away. And other skills that you have are consistently being asked for or leaned on, or you're consistently giving them or seen as within a group dynamic. And that's because you probably have one of these gates or channels within the Penta. So it's so fascinating for our projector minds. We're like, oh my gosh, let me see all of the mechanics at play. But I think everyone can resonate, whether you know this information or not. Technically, you can resonate with feeling the difference of like feeling fully yourself or feeling slightly invisible in a group dynamic. And this explains why.
Yeah, I've heard so many people say after learning this information, they're like, this is why I'm 60 years old and I've done so much self-work. But when I go back to my family of origin unit and I'm together with the 4 of us, all of a sudden I go right back into this old dynamic, even though I've done so much work, I've evolved so much, I've grown so much. And it's literally because of the restrictive nature of the Penta matrix. Like it is happening on a unconscious, energetic level. There's no way around these mechanics happening. But once we have awareness of them, it literally changes everything. It takes away the frustration, the friction. It gives you opportunities to accept something, work around it, or actually like solve the problem that's happening mechanically in your group. So basically in our Dayluna small team Penta, I'm the only person with gate 8. So since that's the case, out of the 4 of us, I'm always going to be the person who is unconsciously driven to lead in that realm and to give that gate 8 energy, whether I like it or not, right? So whether I want to or not, I'm going to be pulled and called to share my gate 8 energy. This is why if you're in a Penta, working in a small team, one of the most important things right off the bat is to be using your strategy and authority, because the mechanics of the Penta are going to basically like brainwash you into giving gifts whether you like it or not if you're not aware of it. Now, luckily, I love giving my gate 8 in the Dayluna Penta, and gate 8 is actually in my cross of incarnation. It's a huge energy for me, and it's one of my greatest joys of my life to be able to contribute my gate 8 towards our Dayluna Penta. Thank goodness, because if it wasn't aligned for me, I would be doing it anyways. But I do definitely find, like with Jared, my husband, he's an entrepreneur and he has his own small Penta, and I get roped into his Penta sometimes, and he's like, can you get on my Canva and design this thing? Even though he has a designer, he has someone else who works on his team that is like helping him design, his sales page things or whatever. And so in the Dayluna Penta, my gate 8, the Penta takes part of these gates, but it doesn't use the entire totality of the meaning. It just uses one aspect of that gate that is going to support the Penta's group goals and group functioning. So for me, my gate 8 is contributing like my creativity and all of that on a personal level. But in the Penta, it's all about public relationships. The person with gate 8 in the Penta is the person who is going to be establishing a connection with the audience. This is the person who's going to feel, whether they like it or not, responsible for marketing, responsible for crafting a narrative, a story, a perception that the audience is connected to. And ultimately, this is the energy in the Penta that's going to really attract recognition, handle media relationships, manage social media, which is so funny. Without ever making a conscious decision, I just became the one who did our social media. And then when we see our Penta, it's like, wow, that's so aligned for us, right? And that's part of our genius. And if I didn't have gate 8, since I'm the only person in our Penta, we would be missing a huge key component around sales, marketing, and being able to connect with our audience. So it's really interesting to see, out of our group, naturally our strategy and authority did guide us to do this. But if it was some other case and someone else was doing the social media, then that would really be off. And actually, once upon a time, I feel like it was a few years ago, we hired a social media marketing company to do our social media. And it caused so much internal friction in me and in our Penta because it just was off, right? The energetic mechanics were going against our group. So that's an example of like, if you're the only person in your Penta that has that gate. And also something really fascinating that your Penta shows you is like, who is the energetic alpha in your Penta? So guess who it is in ours, everyone. Drum roll, please. It is Shayna, the queen of our Penta, just energetically, which this is a really important thing, is like the Penta has this hierarchical nature. So someone is going to be the energetic alpha. And if there are two people who have similar qualities and they're like competing for that alpha energy, then there's always going to be this unconscious competitiveness and sort of like friction and like wanting to one up each other. So these are all things that you can study in your group dynamics. And once you know it, it can just create a whole different, like there could be the wrong person leading with the wrong energy, or there could be this friction between two people. And once they understand why, they can actually make choices to kind of find their own fields of genius so that they're not competing, but they're collaborating. But like Shayna has gate 7, which is obviously a really important energy in the Penta, if you know anything about it. And in the individual chart, this is all about her being an army leader. But in the Penta, of course, it has a whole different meaning. But she also has gate 1, and so do a lot of people in our Penta. So this is what I wanted to talk about. If you're not the only one who has a gate in the Penta, but a lot of people do. So I think 3 out of 4 of us have gate 1. And gate 1, as far as the Penta goes, is really all about executing creation. So it's not just about like having the plan or having the creative idea, but it's actually about taking the practical action to be able to implement the plans that are there and to make that thing happen. So what happens in a Penta when a lot of people on your team have that gate? Then it's going to be the alpha of the Penta, Shayna, for us, that is like the queen of managing everyone else's gate one. And so it's so true that on our team, there's a lot of us that are creative. There's a lot of us that are capable of executing. And that's one of our greatest skills or strengths in our Dayluna Penta is like, once we have a plan and Shayna's the one guiding it and leading it because she's our alpha. And she's like, okay, this is it. You do this, you do this, you do this. This is our plan. And then we have 3 of us that can go in and really quickly, really efficiently create and execute that plan. But without knowing these dynamics of Shayna being the alpha, there could be times where, you know, we're having a unconscious power struggle because someone else is trying to say, no, I think this is the plan that we should execute, or I think this is what our creation should be.
Yeah. And it's really interesting for me because, and I think it was really apparent in our training how everybody wanted to know, okay, how do we figure out who's the alpha of the Penta? And like, what's the hierarchy? What's the list? Because we're so conditioned that it has to be your boss, or that it has to be the man, or that it has to be the dad or the mom,
like the parents in the family, because it
parents.
could be the youngest child has the alpha energy.
Exactly. And
which is the case for both of us in our families of origin.
Yes.
I was the alpha energy and you were the alpha energy in our families, even though we were both the youngest. And then when our parents got older and needed our help, we were both the ones that became the medical power of attorney. We were both the ones that were like organizing the will and trust for our parents. And we're like, why are we doing this? We're the youngest in our families, but it was because we had the alpha energy.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to see, like, okay, in your, you know, in other pentas that you go into, you're the alpha, but then when we get together, I'm the alpha. And that is a dynamic to have to navigate. If you don't have consciousness around that, then it can feel like stepping on each other's toes, or like not knowing exactly who's going to lead when. And the beautiful thing about these dynamics and understanding the gifts within the Penta is that once you know, it becomes so natural, right? Like you were saying with your gate 8, like I don't have gate 8. And even though I'm the alpha, I love that you lead in that area. You're meant to, and it feels so natural for you to do so. And you trying to give that energy away to someone else always feels against the grain. And the same thing with like my gate 1 being the alpha there because of the other channels that I have, and letting people's gifts shine within, like people staying in their lane. It almost feels like it helps. It's not like boxing people in a way that puts them down or makes them feel bad in some way. It really is liberating. It's like, oh, good. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I was naturally doing. But I felt bad because maybe somebody else should, or I was judging myself for always doing that. And maybe people don't like that or don't need that, or maybe I'm not including them in that. And you're not meant to. Literally, your Penta demands of you to do that. And so just do it. And so it really is, once again, like all of human design, giving you permission to just do what feels natural. It's just our mind that gets involved, that wants to judge us and stop us or try to, it creates these dynamics that can feel like stepping on each other's toes. So once I've like learned, oh, okay, I am literally, because I have the channel of the alpha, I also have another channel in the upper area of the Penta. I'm a projector. I'm always the alpha in pretty much any given Penta. In general. And
yeah, it would be hard to beat. They would need all 3 of the upper zone
and to be older
and be
me.
a projector and to be older than you.
Yeah, there's all these different things that decide like the hierarchy and who's the alpha. But it's not so important to know. But honestly, after doing this retreat and teaching this, everybody wanted to know.
Was fascinated in that aspect, which a lot of people, when they're teaching about it, they like breeze over like the alpha energy in the Penta. But it's the reason that I think it's so fascinating is because when we're living our strategy and authority and we're living in this place of alignment and we're accepting ourselves and we're accepting other people, there's this like harmonious non-competition flow that happens, right? Naturally. But when we enter into a penta, there's all of a sudden this like tornado corkscrew of conditioning to compete. It just happens naturally, right? So you might not be used to that. And like in Shayna and my partnership, when we're just working one-on-one, we have this incredible partnership composite chart dynamic that happens. But suddenly when we're with our whole group, our whole Dayluna Penta, now there's this unconscious drive to compete. So the hierarchy and that alpha energy really does matter because it helps you understand why you might be feeling these more like I want to say like caveman human tendencies to be like, this is mine, or like, you're stepping on my toes. Like, you know, that kind of protective energy that doesn't really have a place when we're following our strategy and authority as an individual. It's like there's that level of competition is not there. And that's the crazy thing about the Penta and actually the WA, which we teach in this training, which is for larger groups, is that so much of humanity's, I want to say negative qualities, I put in quotes, like violence or greed or like stealing from one another or oppressing one another, those qualities do not exist in the individual human design body graph. They come from the Penta. They come from these group dynamics and from the WA, the larger group dynamics. So if we don't understand these group dynamics, we could be doing everything right on our personal journey. And then all of a sudden, when we're trying to work on a small team, we're just coming up against like roadblock after roadblock. And it's so frustrating. And we think, am I with the wrong partners? Do I have the wrong people on my team? You know, so many people struggle to hire the right people to support their team and to delegate with the right people. And they're like, why am I having this unconscious friction? Why does it feel so hard when I've done so much inner self work? And like a lot of the answers you will discover when you're looking at your Penta.
Yeah. And I think it's important to really note that strategy and authority is the most important thing ever. Always. It's always going to come back to strategy and authority. And so for me as a projector alpha in any given Penta, if I'm not invited, right, to share my alpha insights or to give that direction, then it is going to be repelling. And then that's when I feel a lot of friction or dynamics feel off. For example, like working within Dayluna, I am completely invited to give all of my insight and my direction and to use my gifts in a way that feels really like leadership energy and not so much like bossy, annoying energy, versus I can think back to so many different times in my career where I'm working in a group dynamic and I'm not really fully seen or recognized and invited. And then I'm giving direction of like, well, we should do this and we should do that and we should do this. And it is repelling. So
And
strategy and authority has to come first.
And unconsciously, everyone's still looking to you as the alpha energy. And unconsciously, you feel pulled to give those gifts because you have them from the Penta. But it's like, what? Then how come this feels so off? How come this feels so repelling? How come this feels like it's the opposite of what is aligned? And it's because you don't have that awareness with your strategy and authority, but everyone still unconsciously is pushing towards that because of Penta dynamics. So yeah, honestly, we want to get next into just some of our small business tips for anyone listening, like that are not as deep as the Penta, because we know this is very specific. We wanted to give some more general tips that are really helpful and we think have been sort of like our baseline that we come back to as we've navigated having a business for this many years. And definitely number one on this list is what Shayna was just saying, like following your strategy and authority first. So yes, the Penta is going to give you incredible insight around who naturally is designed to manage in your group, who's designed to be managed, who's designed to lead in which areas, in which ways. All of that is stuff that you'll get very, very, very specific information on. However, it's so crucial that you are entering into that Penta in alignment using your strategy and authority. And if that is not there, then none of the other energetics are going to matter because you're just going to be unconsciously driven to give them. You won't actually be in alignment in that group. So that's tip number one. And honestly, tip number two, we wanted to say that the Penta can really help you look at who you're meant to work with or delegate to. So if you're needing to hire on new people onto your team, or even if you're just needing to outsource one specific task onto your team, your Penta will definitely give you very specific insight onto who exactly is right for that position. However, for us, it's way more important that first you're starting with your type and your strategy that's connected to your type to know who to collaborate with and when to delegate. So we just wanted to cover that really quick. If you're feeling like you need that collaboration in your business and you're kind of struggling to know what to delegate and who to delegate to, for manifesting generators and generators, you are here to do the things that light you up. So if there is a task that is draining you, the number one thing that you can do to unblock yourself and start becoming more magnetic in your business is to delegate those tasks that are draining you. We call this managing your forest. It's like cutting out dead trees instead of trying to add in new things. And we see so many manifesting generators and generators in business that when they're wanting more abundance and more magnetism, they're trying to just continually add things to an already crowded forest. And what they really need to do is cut down one dead tree, take one task in their business that is draining them. Can they do it? Yes. Do they have the energy to fake it and to do it anyways? Yeah, for some amount of time they do. But that is always going to be blocking your magnetism. So look for that one task that's like, I can do it and I know how to do it and I'm good at it, but it drains me and it's not joyful. That is the thing that you should delegate first. And even if it's just one small thing like answering emails or organizing something, delegating that is going to be something that automatically increases your magnetism. Now, if you're a manifester, it's really important that you pass the torch in some way when you get a new creative urge. This is crucial. I have so many friends who are manifestor entrepreneurs and they've gotten this creative urge at one point to start this business, but at some point down the road, eventually they're going to get this brand new creative urge, a big creative urge to do something else. And at that point, they need to pass the torch in some way. And that could be the old creation, they hand it off to other people and other people now begin to run it and manage it. Or it could be that they get rid of that business, they sell that business, they close it so that there's space for the new thing that they're doing. But you'll know when you need to delegate and when you need a new support system in your team. When you get that new creative urge, there's literally no space for you to follow through on a new creative urge if you're trying to tend to an old one instead of passing the torch on that fire or that flame.
Which is hard to do because we're really conditioned against that. And that's where that informing comes in to kind of help rally energy to support you. And then for projectors, it's always a sign to delegate something if it's not in your zone of fascination. If it's just not fascinating to you, it's like hire someone else to do it. And that feels counterproductive, especially if like the money isn't there yet. It's putting the cart before the horse, but it is the way to reserve your energy, because if you are exhausted and overextended and using your focus on things that are not interesting to you or fascinating to you at all, then you're not going to be creating magnetism and experiencing your self-theme of success. You're going to be experiencing bitterness. So delegation is important. It's the most important, I think, for projectors.
Definitely. And I feel like projectors can be really cautious about the people that they're inviting onto their team or into their energy, because our energy is so sensitive to other people. We really want to make sure that we have the right people that are in our team. And I feel like that honestly puts the brakes on projectors' growth. It's like they're afraid of bringing in another person and having to train them and having to like be so connected to their energy that they end up just doing everything themselves. And I can't tell you how many times Shayna and I have been like, okay, we could edit this YouTube video on our own. Like I could spend a couple weeks takes like downloading the software and like watching YouTube videos on how to do this editing process and like how to make the best thumbnail. And like I could learn all of this stuff, but it doesn't fascinate me, right? And so I automatically know that that's always going to be a trap, and that this is actually a place where we need to invite in a new person, delegate this task, because if it's not fascinating, it's not going to be right for us. And this is different than the manifesting generators and generators needing to delegate something that drains them. Because for projectors, any task can drain you, even if you like absolutely love it. It's not about whether it gives you energy or not. It's about whether it stimulates your mind's fascination and curiosity or not. That is the key theme that tells you when you need to delegate. And then lastly, for reflectors, when life has brought you into a new direction, or life has kind of surprised you with a brand new offering that you're going to be sharing, or with a brand new skill set that you're going to be learning, life is going to do that for you as a reflector. You're just like doing your thing, you're doing this offering with Reiki or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden life is like, just kidding, now you are a ceramic artist, and you're like, whoa, I did not see that coming. And like, here it is. And so once life brings you into a new direction, this is your opportunity to say, okay, with what I was doing before, do I want to delegate this, or do I want to let it go? And that's really going to give you that freedom to keep flowing. Because as a reflector, if you're forcing yourself to stay consistent, like I started this thing and this was what I was doing, so I have to do it forever and never let myself change, you're going to be in your not self theme of disappointment, period. You are going to be feeling completely off and closing off your ability to receive abundance from the universe. As a reflector, it's all about changing and growing and letting life guide you to new realms. And the thing that allows you to do that and still have consistency or stability in your business is by simply just delegating the things that you used to do, so that you have the freedom to keep moving forward and meeting the new opportunities that life is bringing your way.
Yes. Okay. So let's get into the next tip, if you will, which is all about hiring the right person or team members for your BG5 Penta or just for your business, right? It's always going to be with your strategy and authority first. I feel like people in this human design space we've heard this question a lot, like, what am I looking for exactly in their chart to know if they're right for my team? And while you can look at that within their chart and looking at the Penta specifically, we always recommend to use your strategy and authority first. Like if your authority is saying hell yes to this person, they're going to be aligned for your team. Or if they're saying no, they're going to not be aligned for your team. And not letting your mind and your mental understanding of this human design system be the thing that's driving your decisions is always a catch that you have to make with human design. But there are some things that you can just lean into when you're like, okay, I know that I need another person to come onto my team, or I know that I need some support, or I know that I need to delegate these things. The first thing to do if you're a manifestor is to start informing. Talking about your roadblocks or the things that are challenging, or the things that you wish were solved, or the things that you don't know or have answers for, literally informing from a very vulnerable, authentic place. And if it does feel difficult to inform there, to say like, I feel it feels difficult for me to inform around this, like start with that and just like let it flow, because that's honest, right? I think that there can be a roadblock for manifestors when it comes to navigating challenges where they want to say the right thing first. And so they don't necessarily start informing yet because they don't know exactly what they're going to say. And if you can just turn that off and literally say that and say, I don't know what the answer is, but this is where I'm feeling challenges, this is where I'm feeling stuck, or this is where I'm feeling lost, or this is what I'm over and I need to just delegate it to someone else or quit it and stop this thing. You informing honestly is going to be the thing that attracts the right person or team member or opportunity into your life that helps solve that problem.
And this is like so amazing to witness. I always like to reflect this back because I'm blessed to have a few manifestor entrepreneur friends in my life, and I get to really witness them. And we'll go out to coffee and they'll just be like, I've been trying not to talk about this because I don't want to take up too much space, but I'm having this issue in my business and I need to I need to hire this new person, but I don't know what to do. And literally in the one conversation, somehow someone there is like, oh, well, I know the perfect person. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've been like mulling this over at home. I've been stressed. I've been like anxious about it. And in my bedroom, I've just been like worried and stressed every night. And they've been holding it in because they just don't want to burden other people with talking about their issues. And that comes from a place of love, right? Like they're trying to be, like not annoying to other people or take up too much space. But it's so crazy how the second they open their mouth and start telling people, literally, I've seen this time and time again, boom, there's the answer. Someone there knows the person who is the perfect person for them to hire. So I just wanted to reflect that back because like you cannot make that shit up. If this was my type, I would be utilizing this all of the time. But of course, we're not manifestors, we're projectors. So for us, we have a totally different flow of figuring out who to hire or attracting that right person. But getting into manifesting generators and generators, you are the ones that have this sacral magnetism and you're here to respond. So if you know that you need to hire someone new and you're trying to attract that correct person, focus on increasing your magnetism. Don't focus too much on seeking that person out or finding them or like going through the phone book or whatever it is, going through your contact list and really trying too hard. Actually, first, what we would want you to do is make some space to get in your magnetic flow. Trust me, this is going to skip like so many steps. If you're trying to fast forward this process, what we would want you to do is make some space, go put your body where it wants to be, go eat the food that you want to eat, go have some fun and get in your flow vortex. And then you will increase your magnetism. And from that place, things will start moving. Life will start bringing you opportunities. You can talk about what you're needing. You can share it with other people. You can post things out in the world. But definitely, if you want to supercharge this process, first, increase your magnetism. Do not try to seek out this person from a place of frustration and mental anxiety and stress because you will prolong the experience. And instead, if you can focus on increasing your magnetism first, you will fast track and really be able to find the right person who's super aligned for you. And then next, for projectors, it's really important to use your projector insight to be able to see this person that you're hiring. Like, are they aligned? Do they have the right gifts? And honestly, projectors are incredible at HR. They're incredible at hiring people. They're actually incredible at firing people because they just see so clearly who is misaligned for the job. And it's not about someone being good or bad or like they like them or don't like them. They can just see this person has everything that they need and it's aligned for them to be in this position or not. So as a projector, use that greatest tool. Like you could be doing this for other people's business. So make sure that you're utilizing it in your own business. And then also, we always like to say that it's definitely very helpful for projectors to hire people onto their team that the person they're hiring has some level of recognition for the projector. If this person they're hiring has absolutely no recognition for you, let's say they don't know anything about what you do, they've never met you before, they don't have an opportunity to meet you and for you to have a conversation, it's always going to feel a little bit off or a little bit hard when you do give them direct orders, even though you've hired them. So just like have a conversation with that person, go out to coffee, like check, is there a vibe? Do I feel some level of recognition? And it's not like you're waiting for the invitation for other people to come on your team. As a projector, you get to hire other people and then you get to tell them what you want them to do based on how you've hired them. But we've just found along the way that someone who has some level of recognition for you is going to have a lot more harmony and alignment and a sustainability on your team than someone who has zero recognition for who you are or for the work that you do. And then lastly, reflectors. The person that you are hiring on your team is the person who feels healthy and authentic for you. This is key. There might be someone who has the perfect background and the perfect experience, but your body, when you're around them, you feel triggered and you feel like they're off. You feel like they're kind of inauthentic and they don't really know who they are and they're not really using their centers correctly. If that's the case, this person is always going to create friction on your team. And instead, if there's someone who's more new and they have less experience, but you're like, their energy feels immaculate immaculate. I feel so healthy around them. They're so authentic. I just feel like there's this openness between us. This is actually the person who's going to be a much better fit for your team. So use your body as your gauge. Use your body as your thermometer for people. And, you can consider all of the factors about someone, and of course, ultimately use your strategy and authority, but definitely gauge and suss out people's health and authenticity, because the healthiest, most authentic person is going to be the person for you. That's going to be the person who really thrives on your team in a sustainable way.
Yes. And of course, you can also keep in mind filling really important Penta gaps when you're looking at your Penta. Like if you already have a team already and oh my gosh, we're missing gate 14, like that would be a big gap
problem.
To have.
Like big problem.
Yeah. And so
in that case, we would be like, go look for someone with gate 14 probably, which we cover this in the training. You'll understand why more.
Yeah. And obviously your strategy and authority led you to this information in general. So maybe that's why you needed it. And then you're looking at, their charts and seeing where that gap is. But you can fill it there as well. But it's so important that your strategy and authority in this, like everything that we've talked about so far, that aligned piece is there. So the 3 best tips for creating success in a small business: 1, making sure it's aligned for you. So leaning into those alignment things that we've talked about based on your type, but then using your strategy in your authority with making those decisions. Number 2, giving it all you've got, and there's no plan B. And I think that is something that people get hung up on. It's like, well, if this doesn't work out, then I'll do this, or I'm going to just still work my other job that I hate, that drains me, that takes up all my time, because it might not make money for blah, 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 blah. And while that might be what your strategy and authority is telling you to do, then do it. But your authority might be telling you to just like, fuck it, and just like fully dive in and commit. But you're just too scared to listen to your authority and trust that. And so you don't fully commit. You do have a plan B. And I can't even tell you all of the things in my life that I've gotten that are incredible have been because I literally had no plan B. Like I just knew this was going to happen. This is what I'm doing. I only applied to one college. I only like I full send on whatever the thing is, and it does work out. And that's because the universe responds to certainty and to clear direction. So,
but only if you're aligned. Only if
Yes.
you're aligned. If it's aligned for you, and then your strategy and authority is like, yes, this is what I want, and then you take that bold action, you commit, the universe will reward that. The universe will see you and catch you if you have that first piece of alignment there.
Yes. And then lastly, don't be attached to the outcome. This piece of not controlling, but like letting it unfold how it's meant to, is hard, because you're like fully committed and you're fully signing up for this thing and diving into it like without the half-heartedness, but then being totally fine with whatever the outcome is really hard, because it's scary and it's unknown. But that trust and surrender piece is what allows life to bring you things that you can't even imagine that are in your best interest. So hopefully, I know that this was like so much information, but hopefully you're feeling a little bit inspired and supported, and maybe even intrigued of like, oh, what do I not know? Like I didn't even know this existed. There's so much that I don't know. What are the roadblocks? What are the things that I thought was my own personal dynamic, but actually it's just the mechanics involved within my group or my family, that I can find new strategies about overcoming and navigating them consciously. It's so incredibly liberating, and aha moments constantly. Our whole training, everyone was like, oh my gosh, that explains so much. Like, thank you. I was judging myself. I was judging my partner. I was judging my, coworker or my employee or whoever. And now I don't have to. I just see that this is how we can mind the gap, we would say, in human design. But there's so many different strategies to navigate things. So if you are interested in seeing this more visually and diving into more of the specific details, you can join us tomorrow, April 1st at 11 a.m. Pacific time for our workshop. And there's a link to sign up for that below in the show notes. And we're going to get into it. But also, if you're wanting to just like full send and learn this whole system to help your clients or help your family or help the dynamics involved with other people around you, or even just move more confidently into the new paradigm to set yourself up for thriving in it versus crumbling in it, then you can join us April 2nd, and we'll get started on April 20th in our full advanced training of the mechanics of relationships and bonding. So we're so excited to go there with you. The world is thirsty for it. It is desperate for it. And this is the healing information that we need to heal one another, because we're not operating in a silo. Like, we are individuals, but we are constantly connecting with other people, and we're meant to receive their gifts. We're meant to help amplify one another, and doing so with awareness and consciousness is the greatest gift that not only you give yourself, but that you give to everyone else around you. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.